You can't appease fascists.
What
fascists? Seriously, did you just pull a Godwin's Law on us? I'm sure they're just exaggerating. I mean, it's not like you're even German. Are you calling me a fascist? How dare you? Oh, no, definitely not. Yes, definitionally. It's not like you're really even denying it anymore. Well, if I were a fascist, that would just mean that, the Nazis weren't really so bad. I mean, you like socialism, right? Well, they were National Socialists, so you should love me. Did you just admit to being a Nazi? Of course not. I'm not a Nazi. Haven't you ever seen a Roman salute before? Only when Nazis do it. Well, fascists. But it wouldn't matter. Even before you did the Sieg Heil, you were still a fascist. What an overreaction. Yeah, can't we just stay civil and calm and talk this out? There's no need to be childish. Have you ever considered that I might not be exaggerating? Of course you're exaggerating. You always do. You're always out there going, oh no, they're a fascist. Oh no, we're all going to die. But we never do. You're just crying wolf. You do recognize that this is the same wolf. Pointing out that I've been consistent in my call out of the road to fascism is not the argument you think it is. It's true that you've been calling me nasty names for years. I mean, honestly, it's cancel culture. It's not really civil behavior, So they can get away with making racist arguments in public speeches and making fun of disabled people in public, but when I call that out, I'm the uncivil one? Yes. Well, no. What? You're always claiming that they're a fascist. But they didn't really do anything that bad last time they were in power. I mean, after all, we survived it. We'll survive again. You mean you survived. Not everybody did. I mean, let me emphasize, they did do bad stuff. Because they're a fascist. Huh. Name one bad thing I did. Too many to list. But, sure. How about the time that you built concentration camps on the border and put children in cages? I do remember that. Those were illegal immigrants. And it wasn't concentration camps. Like, you don't want me to throw children in jail with their parents, do you? Remind me, what exactly purpose did those, camps serve? Holding all the illegals until we could process them. So, concentrating them in one location. We stopped them coming into the country. Wait, did you? So what you did was you took a real problem, people wanting to become American citizens and not being able to do so legally quickly enough, and made it worse by building concentration camps and putting children in cages. Let's not forget that part. It can't be that bad if they didn't stop it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was convenient for us to leave it be, so it couldn't have been that big a deal. You see, every time I point to something fascist that happens, you excuse it and then decide it couldn't have been that bad to begin with because you didn't care enough to stop it. No, what I see is that you are grasping at straws, trying to twist every little thing that I do into some kind of horrendous conspiracy. Blue knows what I mean. Yes, certainly. So, what are you doing with migrants now that you have power back? Deporting them. Well, if they're here illegally, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. So you're only deporting illegal immigrants? The ones who haven't had a chance yet to claim asylum or get a visa. Oh, the infiltration of our community does not stop there. I mean, we have to root out all of those people, the ones with, like, ill-gotten green cards and visas. They're here to cause trouble and commit crimes. So you're deporting legal residents of the United States. Any comment, Blue? But the justice system, the courts will be on our side. Legal residents have legal rights. So, Red, you're, following due process, right? And any court orders that come up in the course of this deportation? The courts move too slowly for real justice. I mean, these people are posing a threat to our society right now. So I'm deporting them right now. You can't. I did. I am. And you should thank me for it. Remind me, Red, what exactly threat do these legal residents pose? Terrorism, gang violence, anti-Semitism. Do you even know what anti-Semitism is, Red? Well, sure. It's whenever somebody says mean things about my pal Bibi. Bibi Netanyahu. There's a guy. I mean, I really admire what he's done with his country. You mean for his country? Yeah, sure. You do know that I'm Jewish, right? And I've thought Bibi was a genocidal fascist since well before the active attention on what's happening in Gaza. There are protests of the genocide all over the world, including in Israel. I'm not exactly alone here. That just makes you a bad Jew. I mean, are you sure you're even Jewish? Wow, Black. I can't believe you don't support Israel. So, you're both assuming that Netanyahu, Israel, and the Jewish diaspora are all one and the same. Okay, you do know that that is really flipping anti-Semitic, right? Assuming that we're all sort of one single-minded monolith. I am protecting you. And this is how you talk about me. It's sad, really. I could get into explaining just how amazingly anti-Semitic you are, Red, but all of this is beside the point, which I suppose is part of the plan. What plan? What point? You can't appease fascists. And Red is just throwing herrings out to distract you. This again, always throwing around names like anyone is going to listen to you. Okay, let's say that we focus on your statement. You can't appease fascists. And let's say, for the sake of argument, that Red's position is fascist. How dare you? Just let's give your position a moment of thought. What exactly do you expect people to do? Disobey the government? When governance is unjust, should we not disobey it? That is ridiculous. We have laws and law enforcement for a reason. So, because it's legal, it's totally fine that in the US there are girls as young as 10 being married off to adult men by their parents. Obviously, yes. Ew, what? No! Wait, what do you mean that's legal? Most states in the US do not set a legal minimum for parents to marry off their children, so it continues to happen legally. And that's just one example. Ugh. Okay, so some laws need to be fixed sometimes, but that is what legislation is for, not disobedience. So, you're saying the right to protest unjust laws is bad? Obviously, yes. Well, no, not if done properly. And what does proper disobedience look like, then? Take it to the courts. Oh, yeah. Bring it to me, baby. You are not the courts. I am now. So, if the courts don't function and the laws are unjust, what should people do? Exactly. Perhaps they could take to the streets in peaceful protest, singing songs and waving signs. Or interrupt politicians' speeches and try to shift the conversation publicly to talk about the thing that's happening. Maybe they could boycott industries that are directly involved in whatever is going wrong, or even destroy a little property that's directly related. Oh, that's just too far. Terrorists! I told you. So you both think that the American Revolution was bad, then? So, yes, disobedience to an unjust government is warranted. Yes, protest is warranted, and when it comes to fascists, it's often the case that a certain amount of violence, however much we might hate it, is warranted in self-defense. Whoa, you cannot say that. Only I get to decide when violence is okay. Okay. Blue, tell me what I should do if somebody comes at me with a weapon. Defend yourself, obviously. Like, there's some guy they keep quoting at me who said that you should turn the other cheek, so I guess you should just bend over and take it like the wimp you are. Okay, so if fascists in power tell me that they want me and everybody like me dead, what should I do about that? That is not the same. Wait, is that the same? Flee. Run, rabbit, run. Other countries are currently considering whether or not to let queer USanians in as asylum seekers. I think it might be the same thing. We can't have fallen so far so fast. It wasn't fast. When did I start telling you about this? Oh, God, for ages. I mean, it's been like since the 80s, maybe? It's almost like I was looking at the pattern of what happens when austerity, neoliberal policy, and racism combine, and seeing the outcome ahead of us, and then trying to do something about it before we got there. But everything was fine until now. Everything is better than fine now. Everything was not fine. You were ignoring the people who were not fine, or silencing them. Have you ever heard of Ratchet theory? Ratchet theory? Is that like the theory of how you stink? Every time a reactionary right-winger gets into power, they make things a little worse. And then when the people kick them out and vote someone in to replace them, they just get a reinforcement of the new status quo instead of things ever getting better. So reactionaries can move things to the right, but we never move back left. Does that sound familiar to you, Blue? Well, I almost never make things worse, and I do some things to make it better. I mean, look at all the environmental regulations I've put in place, the loans I've forgiven, the super predators I've taken off the streets. Ooh, ouch. Even the people who started the super predator shtick have denounced it as racist. And you're touting it? Oh, crap. Did they? I need my notes. Anyway, I'm not saying that Ratchet theory is 100% true, but it sure isn't 100% false. I mean, what do you do every time that you get criticism from both sides, the right and the left? Well, I need to broaden our tent to get a bigger vote. Sure. But do you ever broaden it to the left? Or do you always move rightward? Well, I guess we did bring out Liz Cheney, who's a diehard Republican, instead of giving even a little bit on Gaza. That's right. And that's what you do. Every single time. That's why you think you can't work with people on the left. You've never even tried. There was Obama's campaign. That was very lefty. And people loved that. Right up to the point where it became clear that he wasn't going to live up to his progressive promises. He was a terrorist, a traitor. I'll see him hanged. Blue, you keep losing because you become more of what the right wants every single time. But the right already has red. And the people who want red don't want half measures, they want to go further. Fine. So let's say you're right. What does that have to do with appeasing fascists? Okay, I guess I have to spell this out for you. Every time you try to appeal to a fascist voting base, you are appeasing fascists. And they're never going to think that it's enough because you aren't going far enough. Well, oh. No, honey, you just aren't trying hard enough. I'm sure you'll get it right next time. Let's look at it this way. Historically, no one has ever been able to appease fascists either. What do you mean? I thought most of the world tried appeasing fascists in World War II. Yes, exactly. We tried appeasing them, and it just made them bolder. You give them an inch, and they will take a mile. There's not really a middle ground between people who want everybody not like them dead and anybody else. You're at it again. Always taking things to the max. It didn't start with death camps, you know. It never does. It didn't here either. But that's where it inevitably ends. When you let this run long enough... The Nazi Germans weren't some kind of violence-worshipping maniacs. They were just people, swept up in an ideology. Germany for Germans. The in-group became all important, and so the out-groups had to go. The final solution was final for a reason. You sound like you've actually, studied this. I have. For years. I have grown up, lived my whole life in this knowledge, and it's shocking to me that you haven't. Oh, boo-hoo, Jewish heritage coming out again, even though you're too cowardly to praise Netanyahu uncritically. No. Cowardice is appeasement. Hey! So even now you recognize that you're appeasing them? No. Well, maybe a little, but I have to pick my battles. Oh, which battle will you pick, I wonder? You barely lifted a finger over concentration camps and deportations. You practically helped with the cuts to welfare. You've said nothing about what's coming for trans people and disabled folks. Which battles, Blue? Which ones? Well, I've said that you can't appease fascists, and I mean it. Not only is it morally reprehensible, but it's also just not possible. Remember what happened with Columbia University not long ago? What? No. I cowed them like the sheep they are. Red, I think you have your livestock metaphors tangled up again. What happened was that the federal government told them that they were pulling all of the funding for the university unless they removed all programming that had anything to do with DEI or CRT, basically anything woke. So Columbia did. Okay. So the federal funding was pulled anyway. The government said that they still had a long way to go. That's not fair. Are you really so naive as to expect fairness? They just wanted the result. So, what was Colombia supposed to do? Say no? Exactly. But then they'd be retaliated against. Which they were anyways. And now everyone hates them. What? A similar demand was made of Harvard University, and Harvard said no. Even people who hate Harvard were applauding this decision. And they would have gotten their funding revoked no matter what, so why not? People applauded disobedience. Yes. The fascists are never the majority. They just try to trick their way into power, and then they try to cow people into compliance. Everyone just wanted somebody to rally around. Harvard wrote an open letter in defiance of the order, and over 150 presidents of universities around the country signed on to it. It's good publicity, and it's forward-thinking. But you hate Harvard. Oh, of course I do. I'm an academic. They're snobs and conservatives, and they've already reneged on their promise not to follow through with their neutering of education and, But I still see the point in defying you. The lesson of history is that giving in to bullies does not get you anywhere. You can escape, or you can defy, but giving in? That just makes you more like them. More like Red. Oh, come on, Blue. You know I'm the best. You can't appease fascists without becoming one.